So since moving to Amsterdam about a year and a half ago, it seems that every guitar store I've walked into carries this awesome guitar brand, Eastman. They're clearly inspired by Gibson, and they have like a 335, a 339, and ES-175 inspired model, and they have this Les Paul inspired model. I've had and sold a lot of guitars over the years, generally Strat and Strat style or Tele style guitars, and I don't really have that many short scale. I got a PRS 594 some years ago, absolutely love it, and it kind of opened my eyes to like, all right, let's maybe give another short scale guitar a shot. I've always leaned in kind of a modern direction, like what's Sir's take on a Fender, what's PRS's take on a Fender or Gibson or something like that. And lately it's been kind of like, you know, let me try to experience that vintage thing as much as I can, as much as within reason. I'm not really ready to drop like 20,000 or 30,000 on a guitar. So again, does this give me that vintage vibe? Yes. And also for way cheaper than a Gibson. So again, generally I lead toward a modern adaptation of a classic instrument, and it is interesting to get a guitar knowing that it's going to have some of the things that I associate with like vintage flaws. With this guitar, it would be that it has like that tilted back headstock that I've just come to associate with like, oh, that'll just be tuning problems, won't it? The big fanning of the strings over the nut. In my head, I'm like, oh, that'll just be tuning problems, you know, won't it? And so far, no, this thing holds tune great. There are a few inconvenient things about the vintage vibe, which is like this could be a bigger cutaway, but you know, what are you gonna do? I know what I got myself into. And again, more importantly, as far as like giving me that experience that I wanted, this thing is doing it for sure. So the level of detail on this thing is pretty impressive. Just even like little bits of aging, the components that are put into it, the way it plays, the way it looks, the way it feels. You can tell that someone put a lot of work into this. I do love that Eastman kind of has their own vibe about them, like this burst, the gold burst, the vintage black one, the like iconic red one. They all have their own vibe that goes like, oh yeah, that's an Eastman. That's definitely, like just by the color, that's an Eastman. I really can't stress how striking this finish is in person. Like, I'm sure it'll look good on whatever screen you're watching it on, but also in person, it looks fantastic, and all of their finishes. There's a lot of specs available online, but the ones that stuck out to me were like the ebony fretboard, the bone nut, the aged hardware, the custom Lawler set that comes along with each one of these, the varnish finish, so it'll age with me over time. You know, those things are the things that kind of like, you know, really stood out to me. I will say, as someone who plays more ergonomic guitars, this thing had a few surprises for me. It's fairly well balanced and everything like that, but if I want to play my guitar kind of at an angle like this, if I don't hold it in place with my chest, like it just kind of continues going, which is new to me. Like, you know, a Strat, you place it in any direction, it just stays there. It does make a lot of sense now though, that when I see people play Les Pauls, generally they're just sitting horizontally, or if they're playing it like this, they play it, and then when they're done playing, they go like that. They like kind of, you know, readjust it. It's not really a big deal to me because I have other guitars that are ergonomic, and also this thing has its own sound. So those are some of my thoughts about the brand and the guitar, but I did want to have a good amount of playing and showing you some of the sounds this thing gets. So I played through that same FM3 preset that I built using Tweed Twins and the Twin Reverb that I played with my Tele style guitar, and I didn't change anything for this guitar. The least amount possible is changed between that video and this one, just so you can see like what these pickups sound like, so you can really hear the difference between those pickups and these guitars. So let's hear some sounds. So there you have it, a quick review of the Eastman SB59. If you're looking out for this kind of vibe, a vintage vibe, but you don't necessarily want to pay through the nose for a Gibson, absolutely I would recommend an Eastman. I hope this was helpful. Thanks very much for watching, and thanks for dropping by the channel where we're excited about guitar.